So it's a little test, no lights yet, but I'll face the only light source right now. But here's an example of a screen background. Now I could be reviewing this footage and you can have sort of an interview style look where we got a talking head facing off screen, or one of these kind, more of a YouTube how-to tutorial type. Obviously I'm not mic'd up. This is a proof of concept, but here you can see how I'm actually controlling this screen with my phone right here. I just simply, oops, I'm actually controlling this screen right now with uh, this phone. I'm just I'm just airplaying it to the screen behind me. So I could reference again. This is now with the light set up. That would be easy. I put a 2-point lighting setup on this key rim type of deal. But now when I reference something, I can scrub back and forth. Let's go back to this part. You can see this meal was actually a daily special. Whatever. I mean, I could weatherman this thing and point all over the place. I don't think that's an option I would prefer to go in. Rather, kind of like this. I like how if we switch it up, I would have something like more of a background image. So to give you an idea, it would look like this. Something more like this is what I'm thinking, where we can control the background behind us. That particular one was only 5 seconds. What's this one? This was 28 seconds. So you can imagine talking, having this background. It could be custom, right? So I could have something around me, like a halo effect, or even whatever, an arrow, could have a call to action, a play button, something going on right here that I can refer to. And it's just a nice background. Now let me switch from using my phone to control the screen behind me to using my laptop. And the use case there, I imagine would be, immediately I can think of editing. So let me just go and grab that. So here's a setup. All right, I put up some lights, I put on the mic, basic. But we have the screen background and it's connected to my laptop. So let's just go over some use cases. Obviously, I was thinking of something along the lines of editing. Now, if so here we are editing. What's loaded up here right now? Okay. I would need to do something about the sound because that screen behind me is hooked up to a separate computer, maybe not my working computer. It could be, right now I'm airplaying it, but I do want to have the audio as well as the HDMI. If it's not the same, HDMI can take the audio. For some reason, here's another hurdle I've been running into recently. I have to put HDMI from my computer, HDMI as well as the audio, the 1/8 inch output here. I'm putting these two outputs from my computer into the A10 mini. So the HDMI is going into whatever, and Cam 4, but the audio is, I'm actually hooking up the audio from my computer into my Rodecaster as one of the inputs there. And the Rodecaster is putting that program mix out into the A10 Mic 1. Now, why can't the HDMI take both the sound and the image from my computer? I don't know. Is it a setting thing? Just one of the hurdles I'm going through right now. Considering if I want to use a screen background like this, what I have going on right here, as I'm reviewing it, I can't hear it. This is just a setup down here in my living room TV, right? So I don't have the Rodecaster and A10 mini next to me. I would have earphones on so I can hear what this screen is saying, or I could, no, we're not going to turn the sound on the TV behind me.
It's fine. You can cross it. Actually, I want you to feel empowered to cross the street, but there's a...
I guess the audio is on. Let me just turn it off for now. Yeah, because I want the visual part of this. The idea I had would be something like this. Now I'm thinking I should screen record everything that I'm seeing here. But this is what happens when you have a spur of the moment idea and you take action. All right. So here we have a assembly of a podcast episode. Two people are speaking, right? We've got three angles. I wouldn't necessarily make this setup if I wanted to review something on that screen behind me, mainly because I'm creating separation between myself and the background. I'm making the background almost irrelevant. I'm pushing the background out of your consciousness. So why would I be referencing it? If I did want to do that, I would have this background in focus instead of shooting at 2.8, right? Getting that field of depth. And then also I would have another light behind me, rim light, to really create that separation between the background. So if I'm creating separation by the way I'm shooting this, namely aperture and lighting, distance as well, I'm quite a ways away from that screen behind me. If I'm creating that separation, why would I then refer to that screen? Instead, I want to use it for ambiance, background, vibe, color, branding. So here are a few examples of one way that I was thinking that's possible. It's just simply going into my timeline. It's a beautiful thing too. It kind of makes for a cool background anyway. Like if this was playing in the background, for example, if this is playing in the background while I'm talking about editing, it's kind of a cool background, isn't it? I could be looking off camera and be like, one thing I like to do in my process, first and foremost, is to skim through everything intentionally. Why do I do this? Well, one, if I'm not there on set during production, I don't have any references. I didn't know what kind of reactions there were, what kind of off-the-cuff remarks there were. No matter what kind of production notes I have in front of me, if I wasn't there, I'm still going to want to have very intentional skimming as part of my process, just to kind of soak it all in and take notes along the way. Something like that, right? I'm looking off screen talking, and then you can see this background right here. Or just go simply right here into Final Cut. In my case, Final Cut, I'll go to, let's pick up one of these joints. Maybe, how about this background? We'll go to Keynote. And this one, yeah, all right. Let's just throw that in the mix. And what we'll do is we'll extend it. We'll even just loop it, right? So now I have a background that is just playing behind me. It is animated. The animations are subtle, so they're not overwhelming. They don't distract either. And they do add a nice background, a physical background. It's like a practical background, actually, if you think about it. The way lights that are in frame are called practical lights. Backgrounds that are in post are backgrounds, but I guess backgrounds in this kind of setting would be a practical background because you can see it. It's a physical thing I can run over there and touch. But the nice thing about this practical background is instead of shooting this part, this section of me in front of a green screen and then putting me over whatever background is, it's baked in and it does look a bit different. Now, a couple of things to consider are the screen, the display itself. Sometimes there'll be weird banding or something. But a couple of use cases I can already see for this is titles, captions right here. Nice clean place to put those. Also, if we're doing a multicam of this, one angle will be like this, where I'm looking directly at the camera. So you get, again, one take, many uses. One take, countless outputs. One input, countless outputs. We're going for efficiency. So while I'm shooting this, I'm going to have one camera right here that I'm addressing like this. Very different feel when eye contact is with the audience. And simultaneously, another camera that'll be more like this, off camera. Sort of voyeuristic, third person. We're watching someone else talk to someone else type of feel for the audience versus I'm talking to you, audience. You can get both of these looks at the same time with the same setup. I mean, you could even do one angle like this, right? Talking head, but talking off camera to an interviewer. Actually, I see a lot of influencer. That term is kind of losing some gas, isn't it? I see a lot of people posting videos like this where I'm just looking off camera, going over my talking points as if I'm being interviewed, as if there's someone else asking me questions, as if I'm giving a presentation, when in reality, there's no presentation. It's just me sitting here in front of my team, right? but it gives the same effect. Because when you edit this, like, and then my goal with this book was to really ask leaders, how can they get better? Right? Take that clip. It'll look like I'm being interviewed. Just have a reaction headshot of someone else like, You can fabricate these kind of things because there's so much content out there like this. You get lost in the crowd and it can be easily taken at face value. How you use that is up to you and your team. You know, this particular, let's go through some different backgrounds. Here's a background that probably looks just straight up black. It's very low contrast. There are some gray squares that I can see here on my computer, but I'm not seeing at least on the flip out screen. Look at this one. Now we have a different background that's set up, very audio centric. Kind of looks like it's coming out of my ears. That's that looks like a thumbnail or something. This one's a this one's a little bit more tech heavy, and I don't have that camera framed up to see what I see here on my screen. These borders at the top and bottom, but whatever. Here we go. And when I went to the fifth country the fifth leg of my journey took me to Italy. And this is one destination I was really looking forward. Oh, is this DIY? Like, why are we looking at a wood deck? I think I've illustrated my point here using backgrounds. Here, oh, this is the one I wanted to try. Where we've got a heads-up display type of background right behind me. It's a little bit more, I guess if we get a little closer, get a little more focused, maybe you'll see it a little bit more prominently. The light is gonna be falling off my face, but you see, or at least hopefully you do, the heads-up display kind of look. I imagine it'll be less obvious when I'm this close and the focus is here. Well, you can kind of see what's going on here, a little bit of that heads-up display action going on. Again, that would be useful to actually see my screen, right? I don't have this set up the way I normally would. This is more of a proof of concept, but you get the idea what's going on. Options are endless. Okay, editing in front of a screen like this. This is a new setup talking about editing. I could have the screen behind me airplaying what's going on my editing computer, or I could hardwire it, hook it up to the screen behind me. Either way, the idea is having it behind me. I was almost gonna say projected behind me. That's another option I thought about with a projector, but that sounds like another expensive piece of equipment that I don't necessarily need to buy. I can already repurpose equipment / technology that I have laying around the house available to me. So any kind of big, this screen behind me in particular, yeah, it's a 71-inch TV. It's in my living room. I'm in my living room right now, but I just wanted to test it out because I might implement this kind of background, this kind of use in my video podcast studio. It's a relatively easy setup. There's not that much friction when it comes to AirPlay. All you need is AirPlay, a computer, and then you can just go ahead and screen record. So now this is a talking head footage. I have my screen recorded. You can do that on QuickTime. Just record your screen. And in post, you'll just have to then sync two files. The video file that this camera is capturing, which already has my audio into it because I have my mic going right into this camera. So now the best audio, best image is coming from one source, one file, and then syncing it with the file here coming off the computer, which is a screen record on QuickTime. There's a lot of different ways to record your screen. Doesn't have to be QuickTime. But there you go. You'll have two files that require syncing that you can cut back and forth to when you're in post. So for all you content creators out there, take this little nug. I hope this helped you out, maybe sparked a new idea. If so, show me some love down in the comments below. I hope this helped you in your content creating journey. It's a rather simple, easy to implement way of spicing up your videos and current workflow. Try it out. If you were inspired or you see room for improvement, let us know in the comments.